And this is one of the biggest regular season games that I can remember since the Rams came back to L.A. when they came back. And listen, I mean, there's been some great games. There's been games against Detroit that have been great. There was the game against Kansas City, which was in the Coliseum. I mean, there's been some great regular season games. But I don't know that any one has been more meaningful than the game tonight. What is your initial thought when you think about these two teams matching up on Thursday Night Football?
I think these two teams have the best chance of representing the NFC in the Super Bowl. These are the top two teams, according to FBI, in terms of the number one seed in the NFC. And I think that when it comes to the head coach quarterback tandem, you'd be hard-pressed to find a better one in the NFC than Sean McVay and Matt Stafford. When it comes to the home field advantage that the Seattle Seahawks have, you'd be hard-pressed to find a better one in the conference. So, yeah, I think tonight's game is going to go a long ways to determining who comes out of the NFC. And I would be surprised at this point if it's not one of these two teams representing the NFC in Levi Stadium in February.
Yeah, and Chris, I look at the last game that these two teams played. Sam Darnold had 0 touchdown passes. He had 4 interceptions. But yet, Seattle still had a chance for a 60-yard field goal to kick it and win the game. In a game that it seemed like the Rams dominated, but yet they really just couldn't put Seattle away. And in tonight's game, you don't have Devontae Adams. I was making the point before you got on the show. He only had 1 catch in the game last time. So it wasn't like he made a major statistical contribution or he scored some red zone touchdowns, which is what he's so good at, leading the league so far this year with 14 touchdown receptions. So I look at what happened in the first game, and I think to myself, okay, now how do you go win that game on the road? Especially because, really, the weakness of the Rams' defense is their secondary, and I would say the strength of the Seattle offense is their wide receiving core. What do you have to say about all that?
Well, here's the thing. What Sean McVay has been doing over the last couple of weeks is leaning into 13 personnel grouping. That's 1 running back and 3 tight ends. And I think he's found a market inefficiency in terms of how NFL teams play defense these days. A lot of it is out of sub packages, nickel and dime. What he's done is put bigger people on the field. If you try to match it with base personnel, the Rams have the tight ends that can exploit those matchups in the passing game. But if you play those sub-package looks, then it makes it a tougher run fit for your secondary players when you're talking about 3 tight ends being on the field, big people being on the field. So I give a lot of credit to Sean McVay. My biggest concern about this team for the majority of this year was their ability to be able to run the football to close out games. I'm not as concerned about that now based on what I've seen over the last 2 weeks. They ran the ball for 200 yards a game. So I like the direction that this Rams offense is going in, and I believe that's a formula that can travel even against a division opponent that has double-digit wins in a hostile environment in December.
Yeah, I'm glad you said all that because I've been saying for a long time what separates the Rams from everybody else in the league is you got a 37-year-old quarterback playing the best football of his career. You got 2 superstar wide receivers, even though one will likely be down tonight. But you've got guys 3, 4, and 5. I mean, Tutu Atwell hadn't even played since he had that game-winning touchdown against the Colts until last week. So he'll be, I'm guessing he'll have something to say about this game. You've got 4 tight ends. Even when one's down, you've still got 3. And your offensive line is healthy this time of the year, which that changes everything for teams. So I'm glad you said all of that because really when I look at these 2 running backs, they have distributed the ball perfectly between the 2 of them. Kyron Williams will get 13 carries. Blake Corum will get 12. And between the 2 of them, they can rush for 150 yards. They got to do that tonight because that's the strength of Seattle's defense is stopping the run.
Yeah, it is. But here's the thing. If Seattle is intent on loading the box and trying to limit what you can get on the ground, those tight ends can be problems in the passing game. I mean, Terrence Ferguson can be a problem in the passing game. Kobe Parkinson can be a problem in the passing game. And those guys have shown that they can do it, and Matt Stafford has shown that he trusts them in those situations. So, again, I think it's interesting what Sean McVay has done. Remember, he was on the cutting edge of the 11 personnel phenomenon, which is 1 running back, 1 tight end, and 3 wide receivers back when he took over the job to be the head coach of the LA Rams in the 2010s. Now we're starting to see a little bit of a different trend in the league with multiple tight ends on the field, and that's not just to run the football, but that's also to throw the football if teams are insistent on having base personnel to match up with big people. So I just say this, even without Devontae Adams, it's not as if Matt Stafford can't have a big game throwing to Puka Nacua and throwing to those tight ends, because I absolutely believe that to be the case. So I'm not saying that you have to be in 13 personnel just because you're trying to run the football and jam a square peg into a round hole. What I'm saying is you come out in 13 personnel and you see what the Seattle Seahawks are going to do in terms of trying to match that up, and you take advantage of your matchup and the weaknesses of those particular looks.
Chris Canty, our resident Super Bowl champion, host of UnSportsmanLike on ESPN's national radio show, is making his first appearance on Sedano and Kap here today. And we say resident Super Bowl champion, Chris. I don't know, man. I feel like I'm starting a little bit of a problem here internally at 710 in L.A. because our resident Super Bowl champion is DeMarco Farr. So I feel like I'm going to get a call today from DeMarco saying, yo, what's the story? I'm the resident Super Bowl champion. What's the deal with Canty? What do you think? I mean, I'm putting myself in the middle of a bad spot here, man.
No, well, me and DeMarco are good. We used to work together at the NFL Network way back in the day. So we go back like 4 flats on a Cadillac. So I don't think you're going to have any problem having me on your show and referring to me as the resident Super Bowl champ. I'm just saying.
Right.
I don't think that's going to be an issue.
All right. Well, hey, Chris, I was listening to the show earlier this morning. You guys are having an interesting conversation. I wanted to run this by you. So with the college football playoff starting this weekend, I'm really into it, okay? The only thing is that I'm starting to realize now that I love stories of underdogs. You know, I'd love to see Tulane shock the world and beat Ole Miss, even though I'm really rooting for Ole Miss because I'm rooting for those kids in the aftermath of the Lane Kiffin stuff. I would love to see James Madison shock the world, but I don't think it's going to happen. And I saw one of the Fox college football analysts make a comment the other day, which was, in football, we're not looking for Cinderella. We're looking for the best teams, put the best teams on the field. And as much as I love an underdog story, I got to agree with that. I really don't think that people want to see James Madison. And I have a daughter who's a senior at Tulane, so I'm a little biased. But I don't think people want to see Tulane either. I think that leaving out the better teams that we all can tell are better and bigger and have better schedules, I think that's the way we all feel. Are you for the little guy making it, or would you rather see the better teams?
No, I'm for the better teams being in, but I think Heather Dinich made a great point when it comes to the college football playoff and what makes it different than March Madness and the NCAA tournament. She said that the difference is when it comes to the college football playoff is that the presence of the group of 5 teams excludes the blue blood teams, the perennial powers, from getting in. So what we mean by that is JMU and Tulane being in the dance means that a team like Notre Dame can't be in. And so I think that's the issue. When you have the NCAA tournament, you don't have that problem because you have a field of 68 or whatever it is now. Those Cinderella stories can play alongside the big boys. But in this instance, those Cinderella stories in the college football playoff, they bump out some of the big boys, and I think that's the issue with the playoff as constituted. But here's the other reality that nobody wants to talk about. You're likely not going to have any of the teams that play on the first round of the college football playoff actually win the national title. Mm-hmm. And so when we start talking about college football playoff, is 12 the right amount? Should we expand to 16? It's less about trying to find the best team and more about a participation trophy and rewarding coaches and programs who have really good seasons.
Yeah, I heard that conversation this morning. It was interesting. Yeah,
we've democratized the college football playoff, and I don't know that it was ever truly meant to be that. This is not about making sure that everybody, has equity in it. This is about trying to find the best team in college football.
Yeah, and I thought that was a good question you guys asked to Heather Dinich earlier today, which was, can any of these teams that are playing in the first round actually win the national championship? And she had a very hard time coming up with anybody, whether it was Alabama, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Oregon. She was having a hard time coming up with anybody that's going to play in this first weekend that she thought could actually win the national championship. Chris Canty, our resident Super Bowl champion, the host of UnSportsmanLike on the ESPN National Radio Network that precedes us here on 710. Chris Canty making his first appearance on Sedano and Kap. All right, Chris, last chance here. Lakers tonight. So I got to watch. I'm going to be watching Lakers on one TV and Rams on the other. But Chris, my focus is on the Rams tonight. This game is huge, and for the Lakers and the Jazz, not quite as big.
Wait,
Are you
Cappy,
watching
Cappy,
both?
you got to ask him since he's a Lakers fan.
Yeah.
A, did he listen to the Rich Paul podcast?
Okay.
And B, should they take that banner down, the stupid cup banner?
Okay, both good questions.
Yeah. First of all, the Rich Paul podcast. Are you hip to that, Chris?
Yeah, I keep an ear toward the Rich Paul podcast and some interesting comments that he's made of late about our Lakers and not being a championship organization and all those things. I can't necessarily say that I agree with it, but I understand his perspective.
Do you think that he is what did you say, Cappy, like a mouthpiece for LeBron, even though he brought it in with Sedano yesterday when you saw him at the Cup game?
Canty, you got to understand something, man. Like, Sedano is to us what Evan is to you guys, just constant defense of his guys, you know? And in the case of Sedano, me and Morales here, we just poke at him all day long, and we just get him to lose his mind about LeBron. I'm of the opinion that what Rich Paul says is what LeBron James says. Yeah, that's fine. You can say that. Or maybe LeBron tells him what to say. But my partner Sedano, who's already started his Christmas break, says, no, LeBron has nothing to do with it, and Rich does, and Rich says whatever he wants to say. And he's got lots of clients everywhere else. And I'm like, yeah, but the one guy it's all about LeBron. I don't know. Where do you weigh in on all this, Chris?
Well, I mean, the reality is that Rich Paul wouldn't be where he's at without LeBron James, right? I mean, Clutch Sports is because of LeBron James. So he's in this position, and clearly some of the things that he said and he's intimated toward throughout the course of this calendar year has been, a glimpse behind how LeBron James is actually feeling toward the Lakers organization. They've been non-committal to him beyond this upcoming season, and I know that's frustrating for somebody that calls Southern California home. To not know where your basketball future lies, knowing that you want to continue to play, all of those things. It's frustrating when the team that you play for, which is one of the most iconic franchises in the history of the game, a team that you won a championship with, and we're not talking about an in-season tournament banner, but a team that you did all of that with says, yeah, we're not prioritizing what you want. We're prioritizing our future around Luka. I got to imagine it makes LeBron feel some type of way, and I got to imagine that he's going to use some of his channels that can amplify his thoughts to get out there how he's feeling. And I think Rich Paul is just one of those avenues.
Good job, Chris Canty.
We don't disagree with that.
I disagree with it. I'm Team LeBron. Leave him alone.
Yeah, well, you got to also understand, Chris. I mean, Lindsay is from Cleveland, and LeBron can do no wrong. And for Sedano, he kind of sends us text messages like, "Hey man, I just hugged it out with Rich Paul, dude. I told him I love the pod." And so we got two LeBron supporters, and then we've got several LeBron critics. And when you put that together, man, it's a toxic thing, man. I'll tell you that right now. Chris,
it sounds like it is.
Yeah. Chris, it is great to have you on the show for the first time. Thank you very much, and let's do it again. And congrats, you guys are killing it in the morning.
All right, thanks a lot. Y'all have a good one.
All right, you too, man.
On hold. That was for Wednesday, but I said on the air.
Chris Canty.
He's on.